Start the meeting. This is the Community Preservation Committee meeting for Wednesday, September 17th, 2025. In accordance with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, public bodies otherwise governed by the OML are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberation through adequate and alternative means. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by joining Zoom meeting ID number of 840-0877-2826 or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, Assistant Town Manager, at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 100, prior to the meeting during business hours. Again, thank you very much. I don't have anybody in the waiting room, and I think we can move forward with approval of the agenda. I did not see any error. I tell you, Jess, you are awesome.
Are you talking about agenda or minutes yet?
Oh, I got to approve the agenda. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any corrections, additions, or comments with regards to the agenda?
No.
Okay,
No.
hearing crickets, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
All right, Barry makes the motion.
Seconded.
All right, Julie seconds. Roll call, Julie,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Jess,
Yes.
Colleen,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
All right, and the chair says aye too, so that's been approved. Okay, now seeing that I already jumped the gun with the approval of the minutes, this is from August 6th of 2025. Again, Jess, I will reiterate, great job. I didn't see any type of any issue. And does anybody have any comments that they would like to make? Any corrections, anything? No? Then can I get a motion to accept the minutes as written?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Colleen made the motion, Beth seconded. Roll call, Julie,
Yes.
Jess,
Yes.
Colleen,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Beth,
Yes.
and Kevin.
Yes.
All right, and the chair says yes. All right, so
One question, with town meeting coming up, do you want these posted to the website soon?
if we can, that would be great.
Okay, can somebody
can
come
help you.
by and pick them up for me?
Sure. I can do that tomorrow if you want.
I'll be here.
Okay.
Knee replacement.
And yeah, I was going to ask you, hanging in there?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Just a question on the topic of notes. I see that we have an AI assistant. Is that something you discussed?
No.
No,
I don't know if we allow that generally or what.
I'm opposed.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Hold on.
Matthew's note taker.
Matt Thal is one of the consultants for DCTA.
Oh, okay.
All right. Okay. So,
Jan, you want me to turn off the AI assistant?
yeah, if you could, I didn't know we had one. This one here is from Devon's Crest. So, because I mean, this is being videotaped, and I believe, all right, Matthew, will you be able to shut that down? So we are now starting our recording again. Okay, moving on with the agenda. Hold on a second. Let me just go back to the participants to be sure that I've got everybody here. Bear with me. Okay. All right, I'm just going to, the next item on the agenda is correspondence and invoices. I wanted to let the team know that the Finance Committee asked me to make a presentation with regards to the Community Preservation Committee and the funds, how it works, exactly on how the surcharge is. And one of the questions that they did had, I thought was very good, is like, how have we done as a Community Preservation Committee? And you've got to remember, we started this in 2001. Beth, I think you were part of it back then, correct? That's what I thought. So in 2002 is when we started distributing funds, and we have distributed, and Jess, I know that I sent you some of these numbers, but we have distributed over $5 million. Really, it's $5,467,879. And that does break down with, I'm sorry, Barry, 858,000 for historic, 1.6 million for community housing, open space at 1.2 million, and recreation 1.77 million. So we have, like I say, we've been doing, I think, pretty good. It was nice to do this endeavor for Kurt and the Finance Committee, so that we can see on how, like I say, we've been dispersing funds. So we've been doing very well with community housing. So that's one of the correspondence. The other one is I'm going to a meeting September 22nd, 8:30 in the morning, to speak to a new developer who is going to be working on 63 Main Street. They're interested in creating mixed use, a 4-story building where the bottom floor will be commercial and the other 3 floors will be affordable units. They're looking at 10 to 11 units that will be all affordable. So that will be good for, let's see how well they progress to see if it makes it to Springtown meeting.
That's 63 West Main Street?
No, Main Street, that's the parking lot.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so, all right. Okay, yeah, that was brought in through our new economic director, Rachel. So I think that was awesome. All right, so does anybody else have any other type of correspondence or invoices or anything like that? Oh, okay.
Just
Moving-
point of clarification, I was not involved in the original passing of CPA. I started in about 2006. So just if that, I'm going to set the record straight.
All right, thank you, Beth. All right.
I was.
Connie, all right, you were in, wasn't, was it Dave Bedurtha and Pauline Connolly and, let's see, Patrick Hughes, correct?
Yes, I think those
About, yeah,
were
No.
the people.
no problem. So, see, Connie, see what you started?
No, it's been great for the town.
Yes, it has been. So, I'll talk about other stuff later on, but I think what I'd like to do now is open the public hearing. So, all right, Jess, help me out with this. I don't need to make a motion to start the public hearing. I just need to start the public hearing, correct?
Just say you are opening the public hearing into,
That's what I thought.
that's what'll go in the minutes.
All right. And I'm going to read the public hearing notice that was in the Lowell Sun on September 3rd and on September 10th. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44B, that the Ayer Community Preservation Committee will hold a virtual public hearing on Wednesday, September 17th at 7 p.m. The purpose of this meeting will be to review the funding application from the Devon's Crest Tenants Association for CPA funds to help support the cost of rehabilitation and preservation of Devon's Crest Village apartments. All residents, member of the general public, and any person interested or wishing to be heard on the application request may call 978-772 8220, extension 100, during business hours prior to the meeting for Zoom meeting information. Signed, Community Preservation Committee, Janet Providakis, Chair. All right, so with that, being open, again, I don't know if, Rick, you're going to be the spokesperson. Again, like I told you, during the trust, meeting, that we want to make sure we keep it as brief as possible, so that if this is what happens, at town meeting, again, we try to keep it brief.
Can I ask a question? Is somebody going to be making a presentation at town meeting?
I'm going to say, I know that I'll be up there, first of all. I don't know if Connie is a town resident.
Yep.
I don't know if they're going to make a motion to see if Rick will be able to speak. That has to be unanimous.
Yeah, so I would not count on that,
Okay.
just to make sure that there is a fair presentation by somebody who can do it.
Okay.
What is the date of town meeting?
October 27th, 7 o'clock at Ayer High School.
And I absolutely understand if that if I don't speak, are non-citizens of Ayer allowed to town meeting? Should I plan to be there or no?
No, they can, they just don't sit in the center section of the auditorium. There is I call it a peanut gallery, in the back. Sort of.
I'm perfectly at home in the peanut gallery.
All right. Okay, so I don't know if Dan's going to, I don't know if you want to show the same presentation that you
Yeah,
had.
Dan, can you take the controls?
Sure, just give me one moment.
Okay,
And Janet was so kind in pointing out a typo. And I sent it back to Janet with the typo fixed. I'm not sure, as I was just thinking about it, that Dan got that one.
all
So
right, I have it ready that I can share if you want me to share it.
either way, I think it might be fun to, where's Waldo? Find the typo.
It'd be great if you could share it, Janet, if that's okay.
Okay.
All right. Let me just,
As Mark Twain said, if I had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. I will try to be brief.
okay, like I say, we know what we have to do, so.
Yep.
All right, hold on, let me highlight that, share. And
Madam Chair, just for the committee members, the presentation's 11 pages, so we've streamlined it quite a bit.
can you see it?
Yes.
Perfect. And we can dispense with as much or as little of it as you like, because you all have heard the story and again, really appreciate the time, really appreciate the consideration. It's nice to see you all again. So I bury the lead sometimes. So I'm going to start with, what the ultimate ask is of the town. We're seeking a total of $570,000 from the town of Ayer. And we understand that total commitment will be shared between the Ayer Affordable Housing Trust and the Community Preservation Committee. So that's sort of the big picture. I'll walk through sort of, the history really quickly and then, how we see the money being used.
Could you first just specify how much you're asking from CPC versus the Housing Trust?
Well,
I'm going to, Connie, I think that I'm not sure. I'm not sure that we had designs on that. We
Okay.
might have been thinking more that the town committees could determine what's optimal for them. But Connie,
My recollection serves me correct. I think the trust was talking about 175,000. Does that?
170, right, Colleen?
Yeah, we voted last week for 170,000 because that was what we had in our
Right.
funds to give. So that money has already been approved by the Housing Trust.
Excellent. We're very
With some
appreciative.
contingencies, but
Yeah. So it'd be 400,000 from the Community Preservation Act funds. So as you know, for decades, Devon's Crest has been a naturally occurring affordable housing resource. The market has put the Devon's Crest homes at risk, and the DCTA was formed to help figure out a way to keep the neighborhood affordable. And there's the right spelling. The community came together in its effort and has worked really hard. The DCTA in the larger community, the outpouring of support has just been tremendous, including from State Senator Jamie Eldridge, State Rep Dan Sena, who were able to secure $250,000 in additional pro bono assistance from a team led by Massachusetts Law Reform Institute to help with legal and other expenses. So fighting evictions and funding the effort to find a private developer who could help the tenants to achieve their two-pronged goal of owning the property and preserving affordability. So DCTA partnered with Shocked Companies, my company, and we've been working for the last couple of years diligently. And tonight is our proposal to preserve affordability. So this is a really fascinating deal in terms of structure. And it's a little bit unique because there's relatively little, the public funding is in a different form and character than what we usually see. And it's buttressed by a lot more private equity than one typically sees in affordable housing deals. And so the project is almost entirely funded by the state and private entities to preserve these homes. And, we think, and I think the Secretary thinks, that it's a model for being able to preserve naturally occurring affordable housing, across the Commonwealth. We're asking for additional funding from the town with the goal of essentially creating up to a handful more units for lower income residents. And I'll talk more about that as we go through. So we're seeking 570,000. We've also been talking, and I've not been involved directly in these conversations, but Connie and others has been working on trying to get some sort of a real estate tax agreement as a separate initiative to help support the project. To unlock the state funds, which in this case is $10.5 million, which have been committed, which is a really significant contribution by the state. The state strongly suggests that the municipality make a significant commitment to the project. And so that's why we're come to you for some additional financial support. What's good about this project? First off, it ensures that the current Devon's Crest tenants will be able to stay in their homes. And that was really goal one, was to protect the people that we know who live in these apartments, who we look in the eye and know them, and protect them. Secondarily, we want to be able to make sure that this housing remains affordable for the folks we don't know, the next generation and the generation after that. So the goal is to protect affordability for all 114 units, preservation of cultural and economic diversity that has made Ayer unique compared to its neighboring towns. We think that's a significant benefit, the ability for multiple generations of families to reside together in Ayer, which is sort of what we see at Devon's Crest now. So many extended families living in different apartments. Pride that Ayer has been able to create a template that can be used statewide, and people will be talking about this and how it worked and how it was done, and people will be calling to see how they can copy the model. All 114 units will be completely renovated And all will count toward Ayer's subsidized housing inventory, which will get, on my understanding, the town very, very close to its obligation under Chapter 40B. There are lots of towns that we go to, and they don't want affordable housing, and they'll fight it and fight it and fight it. It's so clear to me that Ayer is passionately interested in increasing the supply of affordable housing. And so 40B in that regard is not as important as in so many other towns. But I think what is important is the control that hitting the target gives you on where those units are located and what they look like. That you know, open space that you want preserved is not, you know, built up because a developer can, because you haven't met the 10%. You know, we talk a lot in towns, and here's one of them about, you know, the pristine meadows being overrun. So, you know, you want your affordable housing in certain locations, and you'll have that control. How will rents be kept affordable? 35 units will receive direct subsidy through the Mass Rental Voucher Program, so-called MRVPs. The MRVPs allow for residents to pay 30% of the family's income for rent and all utilities. So the total housing costs will be 30% of a family's income, whatever that income is, for the 35 folks living in units that are MRVP qualified. The MRVPs will be project-based, so they remain with the apartment when the current tenants leave. It's not a mobile voucher. You can't take it with you. It lives with the property forever, which means it will be a source of support for low-income residents for generations to come. As the family's income changes, their rent gets adjusted so that it's always at 30% of their income. And that allows folks who come on hard times. A spouse loses a job. Another spouse loses a job. Rents adjust accordingly to make sure that people can afford to stay comfortably housed at Devon's Crest. And so these deep subsidies will allow low, very low, and extremely low income households to remain at or move into Devon's Crest. We've got a situation where we've got some non-trivial percent of folks living at Devon's Crest who earn more than 80% of area median income. The state has pretty strict anti-displacement. I don't know that it's rules, but policies. And so they don't like to see a situation where creating affordability means that current residents of any income are forced to move. So all existing residents will be able to stay. However, when a unit turns over, that unit will be rented, can only be rented to a household that makes 80% or less of area median income. If we don't have, and of those 114, 35 units will be limited to households earning no more than 60% of AMI. If at any time that we go below 35 because somebody's moved out, the next person coming in will have to be below 60. We will be compelled under a long-term use agreement to make sure that the unit mix always has at least 35 units at or below 60, with the rest at or below 80. And these affordability restrictions will be enforced in perpetuity, or 99 years, which is about as perpetual as I think the lawyers let people sign things for. So just an idea as to the income. So 100% of the town's contributions would go toward converting some of the higher income units to lower income units. So taking an 80% unit and making it a 60% unit. So in the case of a 2-bedroom unit, the rents would be reduced from $2,200 currently to $1,770. And that unit would only be available to somebody who makes at or below 60% of AMI, and the rent would be $1,770. 3-bedroom rent, similarly, 2435. If they were to move in today as an 80% tenant, that rent would be reduced to 1998. To buy down an 80% unit to a 60% unit requires enough funding so that the owner can get paid the difference in the rents for 30 years. So the thinking is that there be, and subject to, however the town wants to structure this, the thinking was that the money would be in a sinking fund. And so the 60% person who's now in what had been an 80% unit would pay $1770 a month, and the sinking fund would pay the additional $430. So the owner is collecting full rent, and the tenant is benefiting in the rent reduction by virtue of the town's funds subsidizing them. Our best math says that it will cost $154,800 to convert a 2-bedroom and $157,320 to convert a 3-bedroom.
And Rick,
Yeah.
if I can just interrupt, and Colleen, correct me if I'm incorrect, but the housing trust went ahead with that $170,000. One of the items that it is going to be used for is to bring down 1 to 2 units from the 80 to the 60. Is that correct?
Correct, yes. So what we voted, that 170,000 will go to buying down 1 to 2 units, depending on ultimately the cost of how much can be bought down for that.
Correct.
100.
Okay. I just want to make sure the rest of the team was aware of that, Rick.
Thank you.
I just have a clarifying question too, because your previous slide said that 35 of the units would be a 60% AMI. Are those the same as the voucher, or is the 35 of the voucher different from the 60%?
Great question. The 35, as we sit here today under the use agreement, will be identically equal to the vouchers. So all under 60% residents, there were 35 residents who qualify as the below 60 will get vouchers. And this would be in addition, and the obviously the great thing about an MRVP, Section 8, is whatever your income, you pay 30% of that. The 60% units we're talking about here, whatever your income, you pay 30 of 60, which means you're limited. You're not going to be able to. Somebody who makes below 55% or 52% of AMI won't be able to afford one of these 60% units because they'd be too rent burdened.
Okay. So just to clarify then, it's really 70 units that will be 60% AMI. No.
35.
35 plus the additional ones that can get bought down.
Yes.
Okay.
So at this
So the
point,
vouchers equal the same units as what the previous slide said were the 60% AMI, or yeah.
Yes. As we sit
Okay.
here today, all of the only people whose rents will be capped at 30% of 60% of AMI are folks who have the MRVPs.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. All right. And then all of the other
Rick,
units.
if I could just jump in, this is Dick Bauer. I think, Rick, that you meant to say the people with the NRVPs will pay 30% of income.
They will pay 30% of their income.
Right.
Exactly.
These
Yes.
additional units, people would pay 30% of 60%.
Right.
Thanks.
But the cap, the cap is 30 of 60, right? And the only people who will be in incomes in units with that cap will have MRVPs, and therefore, to your point, Dick, pay 30% of their income, whatever that is.
Does that help, Beth?
Right. So it is then, I'm looking for the total number again, 114
Right,
total
114. yeah.
minus 35. All of those would be at 80% of AMI, except for what the trust and the CPA can buy down with this formula as presented right now.
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Your support is really important for so many reasons. First, to financially, we need it financially to help preserve more units for lower income folks, and it certainly shows the town's deep commitment to affordable housing. As envisioned, this project will allow dozens of very low income residents to remain in their homes, benefiting from the state rental subsidies. And I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but the income levels of the folks who will get vouchers, out of 35, I'd say that 10 or 15 have incomes below 30% of AMI. And then a handful more have incomes below 50% of AMI. And the rest are between 50 and 60. So what is so great about these project-based vouchers is that they allow for really, really deep subsidy, for folks who would have no ability to pay rent otherwise. The entire project will benefit from perpetual affordability. So the homes will be affordable forever for low and very low income families. 114 already existing units will be added to the SHI. As we've discussed, I know you're not averse to new supply, and new supply is good, but at least you'll have the power to decide where it goes without somebody coming in and dictating that to you. The funds you provide will allow for increased affordability, as we're able to subsidize some 60% units for 80% units. We're just so grateful for all of your time and support. It's just, we understand this has taken a lot of time, and we're very thankful. And there's our crew.
You got it. It's like, oh, all right. I'm going to stop sharing. And one thing that I did want to bring up is this way here with the affordability covenant. And I think I sent everybody a copy of the draft that still needs to be approved by Housing Livable Community, as well as, I forget, the Devon's Crest Tenants Association. That affordability covenant makes those 114 units deed restricted. And when I say that it's restricted to that covenant, it's not like the voucher system, which is subsidized by the state. But this gives the town itself more affordable housing that we can protect. In the beginning, we couldn't do that because it was a private sale. And with Devon's Crest Tenants Association coming in and working with Shockett and team, they're able to generate an affordable entity to go ahead, and now we can protect that. And I think that's one of the biggest things that is coming out of this is now it's no longer, just, again, the private sale. This is now affordable units that do hold a type of protection. So I wanted to make sure people were aware of that if that was in place beforehand, even though they were affordable by the former owner, it wasn't designated affordable. So, all right, I'm going to ask if there's any questions, concerns from my team.
Just to kind of clarify that that covenant is something that we would require when we fund it with CPA funds, correct? So that it's just that you're circulating it in advance for everybody to see and understand and make sure it's agreeable to everyone.
Correct.
My,
That'd be
my expectation is that by the time we get to town meeting, we will have, at the very least, close to execution ready documents that will have been fully vetted. And we understand that everything is contingent upon your satisfaction and your sole discretion, right? I mean, we absolutely understand that. The goal was, to be closed right around town meeting. My guess is we're going to slip a couple of weeks, which is why there may not be fully executed documents. And if I know the way these deals go, the final changes are going to be made at 2 a.m, the day before the money's meant to move. But they will be materially complete, and you will have had plenty of bites at those apples.
Another question is related to, given the formula that you've identified related to the number of units you would be able to bring from 80 to 60 AMI with the amount of money that you're asking of the town, how do you handle the fractions? So like if it's like 3.5 or 3.7 units, then what happens?
Great question. Also asked by your fellow citizens at the trust. The answer is I'm not sure. If you do the math, right, 570,000 divided by 154, let's say, gives you 3.7 units, right? So for 4 units, you'd need 616. I think and hope that we would find a way, and I can't commit to this because I've got investors' money, but I think we could find a way to find that extra $46,000 if we had to somewhere, digging in the couch cushions and passing the hat, so that money wouldn't be sitting there. I mean, you could also specify it gets returned to you, as I think out loud. But I think we would mount a real effort to find that additional money to get that extra unit.
This is Dick Bauer again, and let me just note the alternative, which got discussed at the previous meeting, would be that even though our ask was 570 and it's been 570 throughout, that is in a sense sort of a round number. But now that we have more definite numbers, the CPC could decide to bump up a bit from the 400,000 up to, say, 450,000, and then that would cover 4 full units at the 150 and change numbers.
I wonder
and
if
we'd still be within the 570,000 total from the CPC that's been in our ask all along, even though it would, between that and the trust, would mean a total of
it'd be more than
600 and change.
Can I make a comment here? Rick's calculation is based on how much money would be needed to make the owner whole over 30 years, or up until 2055 or 2056. And that is based on assuming that on day one, all of the units that we think could be bought down would be bought down. That, in fact, is probably not what is going to happen. First off, we can only buy down units when the over income units turnover. So we don't know what the turnover is going to be. More importantly, if we phase in these buy downs, so if you buy down a unit in year 5, you only need enough money to support 25 years of subsidy. And so I think that is really the answer. And this is going to require, really careful planning and as well as funds management and all of that. So, I think it is important to understand that we should not be expecting that on day one, whatever we calculate will be the needed amount of money is going to be used. And the fact is there is a trade-off. If we can buy down some units later, we may be able to buy down more units.
I understand it is very complicated and nobody has a crystal ball, but I think we want to be as clear as possible about what we are getting with the money that the town is, so being able to say something like a minimum of 4 units or
I
something
think a
like that
minimum, I
is,
think it's fine to use the simple arithmetic that we've used, and I don't believe Rick would have any problem committing to at least this number of units will be bought down.
And
I
then-
think
yeah.
what I'm suggesting is that that to the extent that we can be flexible about the timing on that, we can do much better, somewhat better.
Yep. And then I guess I just want to understand that, for the purposes of coming up with a figure, you're using the 30-year drawdown amount, but I'm kind of assuming that you're talking about it really being a perpetual drawdown because of, the interest that is going to make and things like that. So it's just for the purposes of having a number, but that it is really a perpetual condition, not a fixed
Well,
year.
I'm not sure the math works that way, but the important thing here is the expectation is that DCTA or some other developer will purchase this project in around 10 years. And at that time, a big source of affordable housing funding that was not available now, the low-income housing tax credit, will be available. And so, in fact, some number of the units that have been bought down, in fact, the new low-income housing tax credits that would be available to the project could in some ways substitute or supplement the buy down money.
And Beth, the implicit assumption is, and I think that there will be residual, to your point, but it wasn't set up to be a perpetuity, and we discussed that, and agreed that the 30 years was better for a lot of the reasons that Matt says, because in 10 years there'll be a new white knight riding in. So the sort of implicit assumption, right, without getting down to the last decimal point in the modeling, is that whatever we earn on the money that's not spent will be roughly offset by any potential changes in the spread. So that differential is just a snapshot in time, and 80% rent we're using is the market rent currently, because we can't rent to the market for more than the market will bear. But there's a lot more room, right, from the current rent to the full 80% rent. And so it's possible that that spread could widen. So the implicit assumption is everything goes up by 3%, and in the end, it's a wash. And I don't have a crystal ball. If I did, but that's sort of the implicit assumption. And that's how we got there. I think, again, just my gut tells me that, we won't necessarily use it all, and there will be something left at the end of 30 years if things go as they're currently going. But meanwhile, 3% earnings, definitely possible today because we're not going to take any risk with it. But 5 or 6 years ago, the same funds were earning 0.1%. So, and AMIs were increasing dramatically, right? So, in market rent. So,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, go ahead, Con.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, Rick and Dick and Matt, correct me, but that residual funding above and beyond what we can use to buy down 3 of the units from 80% to 60% would be supervised by the town, if you will, through the rental monitoring plan, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, so that the town will, be entitled to know where those residual funds are until they've been spent down on making units more affordable.
So you're saying somebody like Alicia's office for community development would,
Well, I don't know. It would
Monitor.
probably be Alicia on behalf of the town, but the Devon's Crest project, we have this rental monitoring plan. I mean, we're going to have to report to the town what's happening to the rents, and part of that, will also include this residual amount that we're talking about.
okay. Okay, because one of the other questions that I do have is with regards to the everything that we're setting in place. Is all this going to be transferable to Devon's Crest Tenants Association when they go ahead and either take over, find the new owners or whatever in 10 years plus down the line? Is it written up so that it just doesn't disappear? It's going to be transferable to whoever takes over.
Yeah, one way or another, it will exist to subsidize whoever owns it, right? Through, for that rent difference.
Okay.
The term is successors and assigns.
Yes.
So whoever is a successor and assigned to the Shaka companies, whether it's a nonprofit or just DCTA itself, they're going to buy these obligations.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I saw that, but I just wanted to make sure. All right, anybody else have any questions from the team? Okay, I'm not. Beth?
I just want to, one of the slides had perpetual, but then 99 years. And this is something we're discussing on, all the projects, is that we really would like it to be truly perpetual, not 99 years. So I just am not sure where the discussion has been on that with the town thus far.
We in my experience, we've not seen with DHCD, EO, HLC, perpetual use agreements. I don't know if that's a lawyer's issue or what.
It is.
If
Yeah.
if the state says we're going to give you a perpetual use restriction, then we will say, where do we sign? We're completely indifferent to that. So 99 was sort of the shorthand for that. I'll defer to Connie and the lawyers,
Yeah.
but if we're happy to have the conversation with the state about the state's use agreement being, truly in perpetuity.
Yeah, I mean, anytime we can make the case, make the argument, definitely want to do that.
I
Yeah,
know, I know the state stepped in with Pleasant Street School and said you can't do it in perpetuity. It has to be 99 years. So with that, that's,
But we've been saying perpetuity for things since then. So, yeah.
mhm.
I think there was some kind of a dust up on some of the early, so the very early 40Bs were perpetual. And I think there was the Ardmore in Wellesley was a poster child. And I think there was all kinds of litigation over that, which might explain, Janet, why the state is skittish and is doing 99 years. But we're completely agnostic. You tell us. You can do it twice perpetual. We're fine with that. That's our intent.
We've
Madam
just
Chair.
had the experience where a number of really large quantities of units have come off. And it's devastating,
Yeah, those were for
so-
15 and 30 years, all right? We should have known better not to do
Yeah.
15, 30 years. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Madam Chair.
But the same is going to happen with a 99 one. It just, later down the road. So,
Yeah.
Only
Go
you'll
ahead.
be around then, Beth.
Connie?
There's an old common law rule. It's the rule against perpetuities. And that's what's driving this 99-year figure. So unless the state changes that law, that applies not only to affordable housing restrictions, but many other areas of the law, it's 99 years is the best they do at this point.
Mhm. Okay. All right. So noted, Beth and Rick. All right, is there anybody from the public who wants to raise their hand? I see 2 iPhones, or calling users, I should say. You can take yourself off of mute. Okay, I'm hearing crickets. So I'd like to go ahead and possibly say, because of the total ask was 570, 170 is coming from the trust. I believe community preservation funds of 400,000 would be correct, would be the right amount to make it to the 570, as well as I know this is what we used for Air Commons, which was given in 2023 as their funding request for their phase 1. So that would, what I see happening. I don't know if the committee wants to comment on it at all.
Well, I feel like we have other big projects coming our way down the road too, so.
And just to let you know, when you talk about big projects, hold on. I always move things around and sometimes I wonder why I do that. I had the balances right here. We've got a little over 237 in community housing. So with that, this will have to come from, forgive me, this would have to come from undesignated. And it's one of the things that we will need to talk about later on. Because we don't have enough funds in community housing itself. Okay.
So it would be a combo of community housing and undesignated, or
Or we just, like I say, just do undesignated, and what we can end up doing is, put a note that, again, it's for community housing. So it will get, if you look at the because we have so many others that Gary Luke used to, go ahead and love using undesignated, to know exactly what it paid for. And that would be what would end up happening, is it would get noted that it's it comes out undesignated, but it would still be community housing. That makes sense. I don't know what it did. I moved things around. So comments? There it is.
I think the 400,000 sounds like the right number.
Okay, Colleen?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that as well. I do want to have a bit of a strategy conversation about the town meeting presentation and clear as being as clear as possible about what it's actually providing. And we just spoke for probably 20-30 minutes about this topic, right? So I'm just trying to think what we can say, and it would also be some of the same language that's going to actually be in the grant agreement as well, indicating what the town is getting for the investment. Again, I'm just so appreciative of everyone's time and effort and that this project has come to fruition with this proposal. I think it's just amazing, and I'm so grateful for all of you working on it. But I think it's still a hard thing to clarify to the general public. And I just want to think about, are you proposing to say something like the 4 units for 30 years at a minimum, and then that the town will be monitoring the funds, and maybe you would be able to get more in the end or something like that, just wanting to think about really what we're indicating the value of this. 'Cause, it's incredibly valuable, but I think just in terms of communicating the value at town meeting is, something that I want to allow everyone to think about a little bit.
Okay.
Can I jump in and say in the presentation, now that the Affordable Housing Trust has given the 170,000, make sure that's clear in the presentation that money has already been committed by a town committee, because I think that will help. I don't know. I think that will be an important selling point to the town to say, the one committee has already committed funds, and now we're asking for this additional fund. And with this, combined, I agree with Beth saying this brings us from 35 to 39 really affordable units. They're all going to be affordable.
Yeah, understood. All right, hold on a second. Denise, Dawn, take yourself. Yep. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I wanted to just also say thank you to everybody at the town helping us out and supporting us. So this is like to Rick, I think, regarding the presentation. So you know how we have a slide that says this is what benefits the tenants? Maybe there could be a slide that says this is what will benefit the town, something to that effect, and then add those intricacies in, or call it something so it brings attention.
There's already one that says, what it benefits the town. And I think what we need to do too, what Colleen said, is like, the initial ask was 570, 170.
Yeah, right.
From the trust.
Right.
So 400, and then that will give us the chance of getting, 4, and I may even say 4 to 5, depending upon, number of units, to drop it from being 80% AMI to 60% AMI. I think that would be good to be put on the slide.
Yeah, definitely break it up just to make sure it says instead of saying the 570, because that'll confuse people. So I agree with that.
To break it down.
Yep.
Then also too, there will be, statement of contingencies and conditions, because again, you need the 35 MRVP vouchers. And hopefully, again, you haven't received anything formal that you've presented to us, but we know that it's been spoken, that it's almost guaranteed, by the state. But it'd be nice to finally get, like I say, something formal, but those would be like, say, some of the conditions, as well as the okay for the affordable covenant. So.
Yeah, good point, Beth and Alicia. Thank you.
Janet, are we going into this giving the presentation, or is this only, are we prepared for if the town is asking for the presentation? 'Cause
Well,
we do a lot less wanting of presentations in the past few
understand
years.
that, but we always have to have one in the background, just in case.
So is that how you're going about this? Is if someone requests more information, then you're,
We'll have something.
okay, because sometimes they only like, if we spend $50 on pencils kind of presentations, and then all of a sudden they don't care about the bigger stuff.
No, no,
And
you're right.
judging by public, okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So, can I get a motion from someone with regards to the 400,000 moving forward to, putting it on the warrant for town meeting?
I'll make a motion that we move this forward to town meeting for 400,000 in CPC funds to fund the Devon's Crest project.
I'll second that.
All right. So that was Colleen who made the motion. Julie seconded. Let me go ahead and do the roll call. Jess,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
Beth,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Barry,
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
Aye, and the chair says aye. So it will be generated as a warrant article and moved to town meeting so that we can buy down more units from 80 to 60.
Great. Thank you very much.
Everybody.
Thank you
Thank you.
so very much. We really, really appreciate all of your support.
Okay, Dick. Oh, he's applauding.
I'm
Okay.
applauding.
Okay, it's like all of a sudden I see this hand appear and it's like, wait a minute. All right. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is, if this is it, I'm going to close the hearing at 8 o'clock. Do I have a motion to close the hearing?
At 8:08, so moved.
8:08? Okay, sorry. I just made the motion.
Again,
Colleen seconded. And I do roll call. Jess,
Aye.
Colleen?
Aye.
Beth,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Kevin,
Yes.
and Barry. Sorry, Barry, you moved.
All right. Yes.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you very much. And see you October 27th. And if you want to, Connie, you and I and Dick, or, Rick or whoever, can try to go ahead and get something, into the slides and keep some of the presentation and reduce some of the others. Or
Sounds good.
Okay.
Appreciate the ability to do that, Janet. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
We
you all.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you, team.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Okay, yeah, I think this works out great. Because like again, I say for being the, take care, Bill. 570, 170, 400, and that keeps it even with Air Commons. And again, it keeps affordability within the town. So, and I think that's one thing that has to be emphasized. So it brings it more in line with I think we'll be almost at close to 9% for the SHI. And if we can get these other projects going too as well, that will help out. The one I talked about with 63 Main Street. Right? Okay, I'm gonna move forward with new business. Again, I made mention that I don't know if call-in user number 1, I know Ken Martin said that if he can, he would try his best to call in, because I teased him, saying even though he may be gone, he is still available through Zoom. I did ask Robert, who talked to town council, and said that I can make the presentation as being the chair of the Affordable Housing Committee. This is, again, to go ahead and request for the 2 generators, one for building B and one for building C. The generators themselves is, building B has 20 units, definitely senior, low cost. 10 are on the second floor. They have elevators to access that. I think what made me even more concerned is just if there is any type of major emergency of getting the individuals downstairs, should there be anything that may occur. Having a generator means that elevator will continue working. There are other individuals there that do have oxygen. Having a generator will allow that oxygen tank to still get power. Also, too, in Building C, where the Housing Authority is, that's where the Council of Aging is located, and they do have a large room downstairs. I don't know how many people have been there, but that also can be used as either a warming center or cooling center or a shelter, depending upon if needed. And I know when there have been issues, people have been asked to move to Building A, which is the longer one on the side. And a lot of individuals there don't want to move from their building B or C. So with that, that's why it would be nice to have these generators. As I stated last meeting, there are 22 approved generators that have been approved with community preservation funds in 19 different communities in the state. And they've, again, like I said, they've been approved. So with that, again, Ken can be here at our next meeting in, I think it's October 1st, but I'll be willing to take questions.
What's the exact figure for the ask?
The exact figure is $230,000. And that would be for 2 generators. So it'll be split. 115,000 per generator. And that includes, the generator installation, all that, placement, because it has to be placed on a specific type of pad with I believe it's the propane that goes to it.
So all we're doing tonight, though, is considering whether we move this forward to a public hearing on October 1st.
Correct.
Have my vote.
So there is still time to hold the hearing at the next meeting and get it on to a warrant?
Yes. The warrant has got to be in by the 3rd.
I'm sorry.
October 3rd is when the warrant has to be done by.
Okay.
So we will have time to do a public hearing. Also, too, I know that I jumped the gun, but they told me that I can remove it. I do have notifications out on the Neshoba Valley Voice this Friday and next Friday for the public hearing on October 1st. But they told me I can remove it if need be, if we didn't move it forward to a public hearing.
I definitely support advancing it to a public hearing. I would love to hear about, other potential funding opportunities, where else you've looked for funds and grants and things like that, because it's definitely a marginal type of CPA project, although I realize some towns have done it, but it's not giving us additional units. It is an important service, but it seems like it's the type of thing that kind of gets funded through capital projects and things like that. So
the major capital project that the authority has just been approved by the state is that they're redoing all the parking lots as well as the sidewalks. And that's like I say, the major funding for capital improvements. And that's taken approximately 4 years to get with the state. And now, granted, prior to all that, we had to deal with COVID. But I know, I don't know the total costs of that. But again, I know they're going to take down one tree to allow more parking and get additional handicap accessible parking, available. But the sidewalks are buckling slightly, And just with the individuals that are there, one little buckle with a walker is tremendous. So, so I know that they have been looking at capital expenditures, capital funds from the state, and that's where that's been focused. We can find out more about if there's any other type of, like say housing grants that the housing authority has looked at.
Or if it's going to be designated as technically and specifically as an emergency shelter space, then additional funds open up from a lot of different categories. But if it's not really designated as that, then those wouldn't be an option, I guess. But
okay, I can find out.
Mhm.
All right. Okay. So can I hear a motion to bring this to a public hearing at our next meeting?
So moved.
All right, Barry makes the motion. Can I have a second?
Second,
Colleen seconds. A roll call. Jess,
Aye.
Beth,
Yes.
Julie,
Yes.
Colleen,
aye.
Barry,
Yes.
and I think we lost Kevin. So I don't see him on screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Yeah.
7, 8. Okay. All right. And the chair says aye. So we will move this to a public hearing on October 1st. And we'll get that other additional information, Beth. Okay. All right. I think any public comment? We've got a call-in user number 1. Anything? No. All right. Again, I'll reiterate, if you watch this on Apex YouTube and you have questions, please contact Carly Antonellis and she will get in touch with me and we will go ahead and respond to your questions or concerns. Anything major with any type of a committee?
Nope.
Nope.
All right. I think we've done really good today. I really do appreciate it. Again, I apologize for September 3rd. Thank you so much for making it September 11th or 17th, and look forward to seeing everybody October 1st and around town. And Jess, I will see you tomorrow to pick up the minutes.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't think that I'll be able to attend October 1st. I'll be away, but I'll see if the remote participation is an option.
Okay, we're Zoom, so that
Mhm.
works out really good. At least we're not hybrid. So, all right. Okay, then can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All
I'll
right,
second that.
Colleen and Barry, and I think everybody just goes aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you,
again,
Janet. Thank you,
thank you
everybody.
so much.